This is the City Council meeting for County Lake for November 8th, 2022. I'm calling this first and foremost. Let's salute our flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag and to the republic for indivisible.
Madam Clerk, could you call the roll?
Mayor McCullough,
I'm here.
Deputy Mayor Carter, Councilmember Baldwin. Here. Councilmember Evans.
Here.
Councilmember Fullerton.
Here.
Councilmember McClymans.
Here.
Here.
Seconded.
I can't hear the council discussion. Can you turn the volume up, please?
Yeah, it's normally not like this, Councilmember McClymans. Somehow we've lost sound.
Thank you, Sherry.
Here's now, Kelly.
That is still faint, but I heard that.
Yeah,
Sherry, can you
it's
hear them?
not, barely. It's not anywhere like it used to be.
If we speak really close, can you hear us?
Barely. It sounds like we're on that secret password show.
Password is.
Exactly.
How's everyone doing out there tonight? Ad's doing good.
Very good.
I don't know if this will make sense to you, Chuck, but it sounds like everybody's really far away. It sounds like they're like in a hole.
Money Lake.
Had to give everybody fair warning. 5 minutes. Start on the dad jokes. Oh no. Oh yeah.
It almost sounds like we're hearing people through like a computer and not through the system.
Oh, like an open mic on.
Yeah, because they have the other, like, the city's logged in as well, and it almost sounds like it's coming through a computer.
Microphone on computer.
Okay, now that sounded louder than normal.
Hear me now, Sherry?
Yet I can hear Councilmember Watson.
How about Fullerton?
Yes.
Guess that makes me
Making
next.
progress.
Stop touching the keyboard. Back away from the keyboard.
Question is, can Councilmember McClymans hear us?
I can. I hear you very, very
Far
well.
away? Are we still
The
far?
two of you sound good. No, the two of you sound normal.
Good.
Can everybody else check?
Check, check.
And
I think we're back.
Good.
Wapman mumbled, so I think it's good.
Yeah, that's good. It's normal. Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Moving on.
All right, Ms. Tran, would you like to continue?
Awesome. Thank you so much. So, Jasmine Tran, I'm 1 month in, and I'm the Regional Services Manager over the Bonnie Lake, Buckley, and Sumner libraries. And I'm here to quickly talk about the Bonnie Lake refresh that's happening at Bonnie Lake Library across the way. As a fun fact, Bonnie Lake is becoming one of the busiest libraries in the library system. It's the 5th busiest branch that we have right now, with 50,000 people visiting Bonnie Lake Library this past year. I also wanted to share that Bonnie Lake residents show their love for their library, with nearly everyone in the city actively using library services. Of the estimated 23,000 residents, more than 17,000 residents actively use the library by checking out books, movies, and other materials, which I think that says a lot about the community and the support for the library. With that saying, that those card holders represent an entire family within the community. So we're really happy that we're able to serve the Bonnie Lake community in such a way. Along with the beautiful refresh that you guys will be getting, a full closure of the library is scheduled for November 13th through 17th. So please pardon our dust as we're creating a more welcoming space into the building by painting the insides, replacing the ceiling mural with community artwork, installing new furniture, remodeling bathrooms and meeting rooms, and switching out light fixtures and ceiling fans. We ask that any residents who want to use the library, please visit our Sumner and Buckley Lake locations. And yeah, that's pretty much what's going on at Bonnie Lake and how the Bonnie Lake Library is part of the Pierce County Library System. Any questions?
Does the council have any questions? I actually have a question, Mr. Tran. My daughters they love the library, but they have been criticizing its size now for a few years. And with our growing population, as you stated, it's 23,000 right now. If there aren't any plans in the near future as far as expansion, how would we go about advocating for that?
That is one of my roles here as a regional services manager, is to take these regional and branch concerns to leadership and share this concern. I agree. I think the Bonnie Lake Library is very busy. I've been there all day today. Saw within the first hour 3 to 5 different families come and use the library. So I have been sharing my thoughts. I am 1 month in, so I think they're taking that with a grain of salt, but I think me connected with the community and staying here longer will show that. We are dealing with Sumner issues and Lakewood issues, so I'm sure we'll be bringing Bonnie Lake to that, the matter at hand soon enough.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Okay. And that brings us to public hearing, citizen comments, and correspondence. We do have a public hearing on setting the amount of the annual ad valorem tax levy necessary for the fiscal year of 2023. I am now declaring that open. If anybody wishes to speak. Okay, I believe that would be enough time. Okay, so now the public hearing on our ad valorem tax for 2023 is now closed, and we will move to citizen comments. There we are.
I'll get the ball rolling.
My name is Thad Huff, and I'm the director of the Community Big Give. And I wanted to thank Tom for bringing it up last week at the planning meeting to the request that we put out there for some financial support, and wanted to just fill you in. What is the Community Big Give to this group? An event that happens, as has happened for the last 12 years at the Walmart here in the community. It started in 2010 with 150 students at Liberty Ridge Elementary School that had need. Their families, we provided full Thanksgiving meals in partnership with Albertsons and the Bonnie Lake Food Bank. And then the next year partnered with Bonnie Lake Food Bank and all the schools in Bonnie Lake, distributing vouchers through the counselors in the local schools and supplying meals both through the Albertsons partnership still and community sponsors that started getting involved, businesses in our community. And it branched out of that to being, since then, the Sumner Bonnie Lake entire school district, the Derringer School District, White River School District, and all of the local food banks are involved in the effort to feed those who would be experiencing food insecurity in this season. Prior to the pandemic, our meal count that we would distribute was around 680 to 750 at the maximum. And that was done. We have actually taken meals to over 8,000 homes, or given meals to over 8,000 homes, and fed over 35,000 people represented in those homes in the time. So, pandemic hits, we started delivering meals. So for the last 3 years, this will be the third year we've delivered meals. This year, the requests as of now, the event is November 19th. It's always the Saturday before Thanksgiving. The distribution this year is going to be a firm for sure 1,200 meals, but potentially 1,500 meals. We are that carries a budget of $42,000 to $52,000. We have generous sponsors throughout the business community, and are excited to that represents in your zip code. So in the 98391 zip code, that is 530 homes are confirmed, representing 2,728 people in the community. So there's obviously a lot more within the surrounding communities. And those are what we're seeing a lot of this year are homes that have generously taken in refugees. I know of a home that took in a translator from Afghanistan that served their troop. And when they were there, there's some incredible stories of those who are asking for help due to the financial situations of inflation and other things, which has also impacted the cost of our meals. They used to be $25 a meal, and now they're $35 plus a little bit per meal that we provide. So that said, we purchase all of these meals at Walmart. They're our primary provider unless they can't acquire them, cranberry sauce and box stuffing, this year. And then we go on a scramble, which I was doing before I walked in this room, to find 1,200 of those items, which I did. So we just fight for those in the community that find need. One more thought is the fact that we have 500 volunteers there. Some of you I heard mention last week have served there and been able to volunteer at this opportunity, either assembling the meals in bags or delivering the meals to families. There's over 500 volunteers already signed up to do that. So including East Pierce Fire is delivering 100 of those meals. So it's a great event on that Saturday. My ask is for a grant to be in place that we could use. Open Life provides 100%, Open Life Church provides 100% of the administrative costs of this event, including transaction fees for online donations. 100% of any donation that goes to the Community Big Give goes directly to meals that go to families. And so that could be in a grant write-up for sure. We're requesting $5,000 to bridge the gap we have of $8,000 to $10,000 unless we go even higher in meals, and then it'll just be $35 a meal above that. So we would love for the support and involvement of the city of Bonnie Lake. I think it'd be a blessing to have you on board. A thought of the funding, I don't know if you know where the funding would come from. I couldn't hear that in last week's video, but I do know that if you haven't designated all the ARPA funds, that there is a provision in the second line there to address negative economic impacts. Our meals went to 1,200 from 680 some meals after the pandemic. So there has been a massive impact. And one of the lines in there is to aid households facing food needs. And so I think that fits. That's just my idea. You guys are the smart ones. I'm just here to give public comment. So there you go. Any questions about the Community Big Give? Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, Thad.
You're welcome, Tom. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Huff.
Awesome.
I did have a question, but I'm directing it to our city attorney, Ms. Robertson. I know that we did discuss this last week as far as a municipality's capability of being able to donate to a 501c3, which I understand this is. The fact that it's Open Life Church, meaning a religious establishment, us being the state, would we be able to do this without
That's
problem?
fine. Without violating the establishment clause?
Yes.
Yes, because you're not giving them money to spread the word of God. You're giving them money to provide food to needy families. And
Oh,
that it's
okay.
a secular purpose. The fact that the 501c3 is connected with a church does not matter.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you, Ms. Robertson. Okay, that's all the questions I have. Well, the one thing, your status with the Chamber of Commerce, are you still involved with that?
Yes, I'm involved as an ambassador with the Chamber of Commerce. I'm no longer the president of the Chamber of Commerce due to a building purchase we did and potentially, if anybody's listening from the city council and approving permits, a lot of construction we're about ready to do at the old Finn Hall off 234th and Entwistle that we purchased and are preparing to restore.
Okay, thank you, Mr.
You bet.
All right, do we have anybody else for the good of the order?
I move the mic up a hair here.
Yeah.
Horrible. Hello. So my name is Chris Lear, and I wanted to address council, mayor, staff tonight about something in Bonnie Lake I think needs to be called out, which is our police department. We have been in Easttown for 3 years with our company Teeter, and the service we've been getting from the police department out in the middle of nowhere has been exceptional. Whenever we call with a concern, officers arrive diligently. Whenever there's something happening in the neighborhood, it's taken care of quickly. And I think that it's very easy to say the police are not supportive of a community, but I find in this community we're getting 100% service. I was speaking with my wife about this the other day, my business partner Riley, and we thought we should do something for the police department. So we'd like to offer your staff an evening to come and enjoy and relax and maybe do a team building exercise at our facility. So you're welcome anytime. Our house is your house. Please find time and come and enjoy a night out. Maybe relax and spend some time in Easttown. Thank you very much.
Very generous.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Chris.
Well,
Thank you,
Mr.
Jeff.
Lear, how did you grow a beard so fast?
Yeah,
it's
old
been
out.
2 weeks.
I was learning from Ryan. Thank you, council.
Well, thank you, Mr. Lear. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Do we have anybody else for the good of the order? Yes, sir.
I thought I could log on. I thought I could log on through my computer, so I was at home trying to do that, and I just got off my treadmill. Excuse how I look.
Oh, no, you're
Oh,
fine.
that's
I ran up here as quick as I could when I
You're
found out I
fine.
couldn't log in.
sir, for our minutes, if you could introduce yourself and give your address.
Okay, great. My name's Richard West, and I live over in Parmegon Ridge, 8202 206 Avenue East, Bonnie Lake, Washington. And I left a message for you today, the mayor,
Yes.
on your phone. And behind me is, I don't know what we could do about it, and I'm just hoping you guys can possibly do something about it. It's a big junk. Someone bought the property back there, and I mean, they have like, excuse my hands and stuff, I'll keep them in my pockets here, but they have like they're building a couple houses, and it looks to me as they've ran out of money, and the houses are just sitting back there. They're not doing anything with them. I've called and called to try to get help, but they're all in compliance, at least until their permit runs out. It's all full of the containers, shipping containers, like off the dock. They got those sitting back there, and they got all kinds of box trucks and and all kinds. How do I say it? Travel trailers, all kinds of stuff like that, and all kinds of junk all around them, junk bags and everything else back there. It really, really needs to be cleaned up in some way, shape, or form. What else do I want to say? Yeah, and then I know we're not into property disputes, so I'll take care of that separately. But they're impeding on my property and everything else back there too. But I don't know what to do. And I'm at a standstill with it, and it's like there's nowhere I can go or do anything about it. I mean, if you even want to go up the Kelly Lake Road just a little bit, there's like a chop shop right along the road there where people are taking cars apart. Yeah. You know, I'm sure you guys all know about that too. But in my backyard, it's just I don't know what to do. I'd like to sell my house, and there's a house I'd like to buy in Buckley, but I don't even think I could sell my house right now with the mess that's back there. And I'm just hoping someone could see it in their hearts to do something for me or give me some kind of idea or path or any way to go. You know, that's what I'm looking at. So.
Well, I appreciate that. And yes, I did indeed get your message today. I'm sorry that I wasn't able to respond to
I was
it.
just kind of hoping you might be able to take a ride by there and just take a look for yourself at the mess back.
Oh, I'll do that. But what I'm going to do tonight is, and Mr. Johnstone is very aware of this sort of thing, as far as getting together with you and getting a little bit more information so we can investigate to see what we can do about that.
Mr. Mayor, my staff has already engaged with Mr. West, and there are conversations ongoing about this particular instance.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Johnstone. I appreciate that.
I think where I've read into everything that I've ran into so far, I've ran into roadblocks. So I'm hoping Mr. Johnson here can at least help me in some sort of way, and instead of telling me there's nothing that they can do and I'm stuck with the mess.
Okay.
I mean, even if I've got to put forth a few dollars to clean up this mess, I don't care. I've worked with these people so much, they created a big dirt thing clear around the front of my house. And so I called about that, and the guy came out and said, this can't be like this. I give him my expensive water. You know how much water is around this place. I give him my hose and buckets and everything else to clean up that whole mess out there. I've done nothing but work with these people, and now they're just, they don't want to do anything. So that's all I have to say. And if someone could help me, that would be great. And I really appreciate it.
Okay, thank you very much. And yes, we will do what we can to help you on this.
We live in a very nice neighborhood, and everybody else in back of me that has those couple acre plots back there, they all keep them very nice, just not the one behind me.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, and I'm sorry for your circumstance.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else for the good of the order?
Council Mayor Dan Decker, 201 70th Street East, Bonnie Lake, Washington. As you know, I am a past council member of the city of Bonnie Lake. I just wanted to mention that the United States Federal Reserve is also known as the central bank, is not owned by the United States federal government. A lot of people don't know this fact. The question is, who owns the Federal Reserve Bank? It is said no one owns the Federal Reserve. Now that's a joke if I ever heard one. President James A. Garfield said, whoever controls the volume of money in any country is an absolute master of all industry and commerce. The federal banking system, central bank, is a private company. There are 12 central banks owned by European and New York interests. These 12 central banks are owned by none other than the renowned Rothschilds. It is mentioned above by President James A. Garfield, the Rothschild family is the shadow government of the United States. The U.S. government owes the U.S. government owes the Rothschild family $31 trillion. Well, actually, it's closer to $200 trillion, but who's going to go into that number? And he that owes must pay one way or the other. And our federal government is paying in all ways to the Rothschilds. The Rothschilds don't care about the worthless money our government borrowed. They want the real stuff, our country, lock, stock, and anything else, including our sovereignty. They are not our friend. During the Great Civil War of the North and South, Rothschilds funded the North, and Rothschild's cousin funded the South. Well, think about that. Who lost on that one? The United States government, because we owe them money back then. During World War II, Rothschilds funded the United States, Russia, Italy, Germany, and the New World Order. New World Order, also known as our famous comprehensive plan found in RCW 36.70A. A lot of you don't realize that the comprehensive plan is about the New World Order, Agenda 21, Agenda 30, and Agenda 50, brought to you by the United Nations, which is under one thought and one thought alone. And that's to turn you, me, and anyone else and everyone else into a slave. Slave meaning we pay taxes like crazy. We don't own our house because every year we don't pay our taxes at the end of 3 years. Somebody comes along called the county and takes it away from you after not paying for 3 years. Well, think about that for a minute. So why are you voting yes on taxes? Me? I find it's interesting to vote no. Remember when I said something about stupid is, well, Rothschilds aren't stupid. They're doing exactly what they're doing to take over the world, and they will own it one day because we're not stopping them. And the comprehensive plan is the backbone of the Rothschilds' New World Order. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Decker. Is there anybody else for the good of the order?
This here senior center.
Yes.
As I spoke to this council earlier. It here's some regarding funding. Know what the city council is proposing for a senior center that has been in place for 32 years and has had nothing done. It's the same exact center it was when it was built. Where's the funding for the senior center? Are you planning on being there on Thursday for the veterans dinner? Because I would like for you to see what it looks like when it's overcrowded. Has any of the city council stepped up to deliver meals? Because I understand that was on the table as well. Which of the city council has gone to the Kiwanis or the Chamber of Commerce, anybody, to seek funding for the senior center? Enumclaw received a grant over $700,000. The Kent facility received a grant of $84,760 for solar. When are you going to start asking for funding to rebuild a place that should have been rebuilt a long time ago? That's my question to the city council? When are you going to step up? Over 10.8% in this community are over 65. Are you telling me they don't matter? Because past city councils have done nothing? It's a shame. This city is growing by leaps and bounds. And it's time that this city council, yes, some of you are new to it, but others of you have sat on this council for years. It's time. It's time. It's way past time for you to stand up and build a facility that's worth our seniors. They don't come because they don't feel they have a voice. The ones that I talked to said, you folks stopped listening long time ago. And that's unfortunate. We owe them something more than what's there. One room where they put up partitions to do foot care, hair care. You got to run in to set tables. They have music. You got to hurry up and get them out so that you can roll out the salad bar. It makes no sense. But yet this city is building a new this, a new that. I've driven around. I see more proposal signs. But you're doing nothing for the seniors? Get a conscience, please.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. All right. Is there anybody else for the good of the order? Okay, moving on to, we have no correspondence. Next, we will have committee reports. Okay, Finance Committee, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As Deputy Mayor Carter is out of town, I sat in as chair for him at the Finance Committee today. We had a personnel update that was emailed out to council on Monday morning, yesterday about 11:30 a.m. We did have some action items. AB 22-155 for out-of-state travel. That was approved and is on your consent agenda tonight. We had a COLA review that will be on the consent agenda for 11:22. We reviewed our meeting minutes and approved them, and we had a discussion on the ad valorem tax, excuse me, that will be taking future, or ad valorem tax levy that will be taking future action on. That was it, sir.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember Evans. Community Development Committee, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Our Community Development Committee did meet on November 1st. Several items of business, of course. We approved our minutes, and then we went on and had a great discussion about Prairie Ridge Booster Station and its operation. You know, that's where we get our Tacoma water from. It's very technical and interesting to always hear that type of stuff at the committee level. Also had some status updates on a bunch of little things that are going on, like the parking lot meter proposal thing that we passed on to public safety. I think they've reviewed that now, and they're probably going to have a future recommendation come forward on that, possibly. Looked at, the issue of the boat trailer parking extension, make sure we're still, going forward with that, making sure we're going to get those spaces for council's direction yet. Different undergrounding utilities with some various facilities around that are long-standing issues around the city, with the little odd telephone poles and different things that are in different driveways that don't need to be there anymore. And Public Works is doing a great job of working on it with the different vendors involved, whether the PSE or the telephone company and stuff like that. Sidewalk repair issues, of course, is noted that it's probably very difficult to chase the property owner for some of the sidewalk repairs, so it's still ongoing to look at that as time goes on. Sidewalks will have issues and they need to be repaired. Sumner Sewer Agreement, we looked at that, and I think the staff is mainly going to look at that right now. It's in the staff because there's issues with what we pay for and what we don't pay for with capital and different things in that agreement. Also, as a CDC chair, I get a lot of requests from the public about different things and like to make note and thank staff for doing their daily job. They were working with some permit folks, and there was one of them that they were able to figure out a path forward for, and one of them there's still, a citizen that had an issue that thought the city was doing something odd, and they're still working with that. So, doing their daily job out there. Another one where I had a citizen that, had a water issue where they were going to have extraordinary charges because the water connection had broken on, past the meter side. So they were looking at a very large bill, but the city was again able to work with them and understand that, that the city was able to help them out in that case. So, ongoing daily things that city people do. So congratulations. Thank you, Mayor.
All right. Thank you, Councilmember Swatman. Public Safety Committee, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Public Safety met tonight. We had a report from East Pierce Fire and Rescue. They talked about the memorial they had for firefighter Conover. They talked about the Main Street fire down in Sumner and the investigation going on with that. They discussed a little bit about the new Station 111 that's going on in progress right now across the street from the existing one. And they expect that their budget adoption will happen next week with only a minimal 2.1% increase on the property taxes. We had a report from Chief Jeter for police. Calls for service right now are up 25% over last year. Robbery is up about 300%. Burglary is doubled. Vehicle theft is doubled. And DUI arrests are double at this point as well. They were also awarded a wellness grant for their officers. They were given $20,000 for workout equipment. That will be being split up between the new Public Works Center and the police station, so the officers and some of the staff can have the opportunity to work out during their shift. They're allowed that 1 hour per their contract, and right now it's difficult for them to do safely without having the place to do it with the equipment in their facility. There is one open vacancy, and interviews are being scheduled for tomorrow. As far as the emergency management report, there was the great shakeout that took place at 10:10 on 10:10. That turned out really well for everyone. And then there is a continuity of operation plan that has been reviewed and going through the steps for that as well. We had a prosecutor report. We are at 330 hearings in October, 91 for pretrial, 5 for sentencing, and 37 for arraignment. We approved a grant for inter service for $15,000 for interpreter services for $15,000. That'll help out with the court system and our interpreters. We approved a grant for a boaters grant for the overtime coverage for our Marine Service Unit. We approved our minutes, and we did have a discussion on the pay to park for Allen York Park, and we will be seeing some action on that in future meetings.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember.
I just wanted to make a correction that it was on 10:20 at 10:20. I think it was stated as 10:10.
Yeah, you're right. Thank you.
Oh, that was a double. The other things that we're doubling, we don't want to be doubled. Gee. Well, thank you, Councilmember Evans. Okay, I don't see any other reports, so let's move on to the consent agenda. Is there a motion to adopt the?
So moved.
Seconded.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Councilmember McClymans, did you hear that? Okay, very good. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. Consent agenda has been adopted, and we have no committee issues. We do have some full council issues. Item A, Madam Clerk.
This is Resolution 3102. The council motion would be to accept the draft 2023 to 2028 capital improvement plan.
So moved.
Seconded.
Do we have any discussion on the matter? Councilmember Swatman.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, and again, thanks to staff and everything, getting the stuff all together, right? This is like some blurring details to stare at for hours on end when you're trying to look at comprehensive improvements and stuff. Of course, I'm kind of hung up on a couple of concepts, and I don't know if they apply right now, because it's my understanding this kind of sets us on a track to apply all of the ARPA funds to the water utility. I don't know if that's right or wrong. If that is what's the intent of it, then I couldn't support this currently, because the way I understand it is the ARPA funds were given to the city of Bonnie Lake by the federal government for the city of Bonnie Lake's impacts for COVID and different things that they did with all that stuff. So the water utility is pretty much split, is my understanding, 50%. It's inside city folks, right? So in my mind, if you're putting all of those monies that were given specifically to the city of Bonnie Lake to benefit half of the residents in the county, then it's like, I don't really like that idea, because the county also got a lot of those same funds also. So that's, something. When in reality, on the flip side of the sewer utility is a place that has some significant needs on it, and that, of course, is always inside the city, with the extraordinary exceptions of a few little weird things that we could talk about. But all those customers are within the city of Bonnie Lake, and I don't know if that's one thing. That would be my one main thing, and then I don't understand what we've done with the project loads on some of the years, because I looked at the comprehensive plan that we adopted. Actually, the Department of Health that certified our comprehensive plan identifies the projects and lays them out in a number of years that we did, and we did a rate study based around that. So the way that we've done it now, the proposal, as I see it, laid out the 2023-2024 biennium. And the comprehensive way we laid it out before, we had a project load of $7.3 million in those two biennium, that one biennium, 2 years. And now the proposal is going from a $7.35 million proposal to a $12.95 proposal. And then again, also, if you look at the 2025 to 2026 years, we go from a proposed, again, that was approved by the Department of Health for $6.365 million to a proposal in this particular thing that I'm reading for $13.874 million. So, all of that stuff affects your rates, and I'm trying to figure out, we haven't have the rate study up, and so I don't know how all the pieces fit together yet, right? So I'm currently kind of not supporting this proposal as I understand it.
Okay, Ms. Robinson, I did see you turn your camera on. Were you going to address the matter, or shall I move to further discussion with the council?
I could certainly address the issue with the ARPA funds. From my professional opinion, I do believe the ARPA funds should be directed to the water fund. However, you can certainly strike that out of the resolution, and we can, work that out at a future date.
Okay, Councilmember Baldwin.
It's my understanding that Councilmember Swatman is not necessarily in disagreement over the ARPA funds. It sounds like his disagreement is that it's not going to go to all of the residents. If I was hearing you correctly, percentage wise. Okay.
Instead.
Okay. Is there a way for us to be able to differentiate that between the Bonnie Lake populace and people outside of the city?
If the ARPA funds are used on the water utility projects, Ryan Johnstone is there. He can probably tell you which projects would affect which residents better than I could. However, it is the city of Bonnie Lake's water utility.
Right. And Mr. Johnstone, did you have a comment on that?
No, just if there's questions about particular projects, I can attempt to answer them. I was going to speak to Council Member Swatman's concern about project costs. He's indeed right. The comp plans, when they were assembled, the costs were different than what is shown here. We've had a lot of inflation. We've also had some projects push into the next bienniums, which have all contributed to the increased biennium costs for getting those projects completed.
I believe we discussed that last week too, as far as not only the inflation, but the supply chain issues that we've had with that as well.
Okay.
Councilmember Watson.
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Swatman's brought some key points forward to us that we really didn't discuss before, and along with the sewer, the water, the ARPA fund should go to. I would like to just bring us back to a workshop next week and maybe make an action item for next week too, if possible. Are we on a deadline for this tonight? I hate to drag things out, but just so we get all of our questions answered.
Sherry, correct me if any of this is wrong, but obviously the first 2 years of the 6-year plan you're preparing to adopt that as part of the next biennial budget. The 4 years beyond that, we have some time to talk about that. I believe I think the original plan, if I remember talking with Jason, is that we were going to come back in February to do final approval on the remaining years, if I remember correctly.
And we still change the ARPA funds where they're going to.
Yeah, because that
would make sense to go into sewer, not to water also, what he's talking about outside the city.
however the council deems they want to, approach the ARPA funds. I mean, certainly that's something for you all to discuss.
Because I'd really like to know how that affects the rates, of course, right? I don't know. It may be a non-issue at all. It may be like, well, it doesn't matter if you put them here or there. It's just I haven't seen the rate study yet.
Okay, in order, we had Councilmember McClymonds raise his hand first, and then Councilmember Baldwin, and then Ms. Ryerson, if you could comment on that. Councilmember McClymonds?
Yeah, what would happen if we didn't pass this tonight?
Well, as far as not passing it tonight, I don't know that there's any fatal mistake there, but just keep in mind that the first 2 years of this are part of the budget that is up for approval for 23-24. So that's where the hitch would lie. If this drags out too long, then budget approval is in jeopardy.
Okay, Councilmember Baldwin?
I think, again, the issue is that we don't know how the ARPA funds are actually going to help the citizens. And so we don't want to make a decision where we're throwing millions of dollars towards something that doesn't even help the citizens. And this is a huge issue with the citizens. So because we don't have any solid numbers of how it's going to save them money, how it's going to help them financially, I think that's where we're kind of we're not sure. Yeah.
And Ms. Ryerson?
Yeah, I understand your concerns, and I would, like I said, strike the part about the ARPA. Councilmember Watson, you mentioned bringing this back next week. That wouldn't be, in my opinion, the wisest thing to do, only because you have FCS coming next week, and they will show you what the difference is. They're going to show you what the rate is without any debt and without ARPA for the water. They're going to then show you what the rate would be if you used ARPA, and then if you used ARPA and debt, what that's going to do to the water rates. Obviously, they're going to talk about sewer and stormwater as well. You can certainly use it for stormwater projects. The sewer fund, I don't believe, is in need of the same projects, and you'll see that next week when FCS speaks up. If the main hiccup is the ARPA funds, I would strike that part out. We have time to figure out what to spend the money on, and after you have the FCS presentation, you can certainly make that decision then. It isn't a big component of the CIP that, in my opinion, should hold it up.
Okay, Councilmember Fullerton.
Yeah, it was just that we haven't seen the presentation yet, so it's kind of hard to kind of vote on this without actually seeing what the ARPA funds are going to do for the cost of the water and everything. I mean, because
yeah.
And can it be used for sewer only? Because Bonnie Lake citizens are the ones that are paying the sewer upgrades that are happening right now down in Sumner. And so if we could take the ARPA funds and put it towards the sewer only to hopefully bring down the cost of the sewer.
Okay, Councilmember Watson.
Well, I would make a motion for us to strike the ARPA funds for now out of this and then pass this resolution as it is right now tonight.
Okay, we do have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we have this. Any discussion on the motion?
Well, I didn't get to discuss my first.
Oh, okay.
Just for Councilmember Swatman's to reference off of that, Ryan, on the comp plan. For example, LS 17 replacement, lift station 17 replacement construction, CIP project LS 04. It had that listed at $2 million, and then in the budget we're looking at tonight is 4.1. And I know that was done many, many years ago, but significantly that's far beyond just inflation at more than double. So that's just one particular project. Every one on here is in excess of probably 30-40% of what was projected. So I think that was one of what Dan was trying to say earlier.
And just as a response to that, when the comp plans were put together, both water and sewer, those projects to put those plans together were actually started a couple years prior to when they were approved. And so the versions that got approved were already using numbers that were aged, if you will, by a couple of years.
Okay.
So there's that in consideration as well. So when we place these costs in here, we were having to advance them and inflate them from 2016.
Are these numbers here for that particular project, lift station 17 replacement, 4.14? Is there is that inflated for when we do this? Or is that a hard number right now? Or
That is our best estimate of the cost we would see when we construct this project in the next biennium.
I know it's really similar to when the school district builds a new school, they can only build it by law for the population of the kids they have at the time the levy passes. 12 years later, when the school is built, they're already bringing in portables on day one because of that. So I just want to make sure we're looking at that appropriately.
Yep.
All right, thanks.
Okay, do we have any further comment or discussion? Councilmember McClymons, I didn't want to exclude you on this. Okay. Procedurally, right now, we do have a motion on the floor. That would be to strike the ARPA language. Is council ready to take a vote on that motion? Okay, hearing no objection. All in favor of striking the ARPA language, as Ms. Ryerson has pointed out to us, say aye.
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 And so how many did we have? So we had, was that 6? It's all unanimous.
Okay.
Any opposed?
Really?
Gotta put it on the record.
For the word unanimous. Any opposed?
Any
on the record.
Okay, looks like the ARPA language has been stricken at this point. So I believe that moves us to actually taking a vote on the resolution. Councilmember Swatman, did you have a comment?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. No, and in reference to Councilmember Evans' comments there, because of the, when they do the comp plans and stuff, they try to list out the future costs of that facility, right? So when we don't do them in that year, that's when they can get kind of squirrely a little bit, right? Of course. Yeah. So if they list it, even though the comp plan was produced in whatever it was, set up in 2018 or they tried to project that, but of course we're in inflationary times that are extraordinarily unusual that we had, so the costs go way up in that. But again, and now it'll be fine to support this, I guess. But I would encourage council members to definitely go back and look at the project costs, because you still have a lot of things, and we do that at the CDC, and we'll continue to kind of hopefully go back and drill into a lot of those, because when you have things like the Lake Ridge Reservoir, that was in the comp plan for $4.8 million, and I don't know if there's a planning effort on that already. Now they think the cost is going to be 7.6. So, you're dealing with a lot of cost escalations there. So hopefully, people will look at the details of it and kind of question that and always challenge that, because we do have such a great staff that, I think that's incumbent upon us, and especially the mayor, to challenge the staff to come up with ways of doing things that, make the result the best for the citizens that we serve. So,
okay. Any further discussion on the matter before we take the revised resolution to a vote? Okay, on AB 22-160, Resolution 3102, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Bonnie Lake, Pierce County, Washington, accepting the draft 2023 through 2028 capital improvement plan with the ARPA language stricken. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I believe we had Councilmember McClymons. Did we hear a vote from you?
Nay.
Okay. So I believe we have 5 to 1 officially. Any opposed? That would be Councilmember McClymons. Any abstentions? Hearing none. Okay, it looks like that the resolution 3102 has been passed, excluding the ARPA fund language. Okay, Madam Clerk, can we move on to item B?
This is motion AB 22-161. The council motion would be to approve a grant agreement to contribute $5,000 to the Community Big Give for 2022.
So moved.
Seconded.
Okay, we did hear discussion on that matter tonight and last week. Do we have any further discussion on the matter? Councilmember Watson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't normally bring something like this forward to the council. We've never done this before, but the need is great in our community. As we've heard, we've got a lot of families living with other families in the city. You heard from me in the past, we've got a lot of students that are couch surfing that families can't afford to feed those children that are out there, but we need to help them in so many ways, and they need it out there this time of year. these people do shop in our town. They do spend money here, going back into our sales taxes. I think it's very little of us to ask to help them with a $5,000 grant. They have a halfway good Thanksgiving and holiday season. So I'd like to see us pass this tonight.
Okay, it's a point well taken. Any further discussion on the matter?
Kelly.
Oh, okay, Councilmember McClymans.
Yeah, so I spent some time discussing this with constituents, and I also spent some time trying to understand the ask on this because I fundamentally have a problem taking tax dollars from constituents and giving it to charities. I think the constituents are far better suited at that than the city is. I think the constituents benefit more when they are involved and they make that decision on their own rather than the council doing it. And I would wonder, why is the Big Give more important than the senior center? We heard tonight that we have senior center issues. This is a slippery slope we've already started to slide down, and it must stop. It must stop.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry. I thought you were done.
Yeah, we've given to the food bank, and the food bank is involved in this. So I think you can understand that we do support the community already, and that our support for the food bank this year was exceptional, and that their support of this as our agent is sufficient. I can't support this. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember McClymans. Councilmember Baldwin.
I just wanted to kind of leave the council with a quote and also a suggestion to potentially read It's Not Yours to Give by Davy Crockett. When he was serving in Congress and speaking to a constituent, and a particular constituent said the following: "The power of collecting and dispersing money at pleasure is the most dangerous power that can be trusted to government, particularly under our system of collecting revenue. If you have the right to give to one, you have the right to give to all, and as the Constitution neither defines charity nor stipulates the amount, you are at liberty to give to any and everything which you may believe, you being government, or profess to believe is a charity, and to any amount you, government, may think proper. Government will be you will very easily perceive what a wide door this would open for fraud and corruption and favoritism on the one hand, and for robbing the people on the other. No, Colonel, Congress has no right to give charity, in this case, government. Individual members may give as much of their own money as they please, but they have no right to touch a dollar of the public money for that purpose." And I say this simply because, Thad, I just want to say your ministry is an amazing ministry. As a woman of faith myself, I am just blown away by what God is doing in that ministry, very much so. On the other hand, I've never felt it to be charity to reach into someone else's pocket and hand it to someone else. I just feel very fundamentally and very strongly about this, but I am not against charity. I think that I agree with Councilmember McClymans that charity belongs in the hands of constituents and people and community and churches, houses of worship, certainly not government. I think government is a very slippery slope, and I agree with Councilmember McClymans.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember Baldwin. Councilmember Evans.
Could I make a motion that if this does pass, the money comes from ARPA? It's free money that was given to us by us. So,
do we have a second on the motion?
I second it.
Okay, do we have any discussion on Councilmember Evans' motion before this council?
Councilmember McClymans.
Councilmember McClymans.
Oh, wow. I would oppose taking the money from ARPA. ARPA is part of the genesis for the financial difficulties we currently face, the fiscal challenges that every family faces. Part of the reasoning for the situation these families are in currently is because of the inflation. And now it looks like the jobs reports are now also catching up with the economic reality, especially in the tech sector. We're beginning to see failures in the tech sector. So the ARPA funds for me would be, I could support that. Thank you.
Okay, any further discussion on the motion? Councilmember Fullerton.
Yeah, I do have to say that there's actually no such thing as government funding. It's called taxpayer funding. And I have a really hard time taking from, this is not our money to give. This is the taxpayers' money. And we have a lot of decisions that are on the table right now with the budgets that we're looking at and the amount of money that we're looking at spending on all of these projects and everything. And I would be happy to give out of my own pocket to the Big Give and to support maybe some fundraisers or whatever we need to do. I do want to make sure that everybody in the community is fed and is served and loved on, but this is taxpayer dollars. This is not our dollars. This is not our money. This is not our decision to make.
Okay. Any further discussion? Councilmember? Okay. I do have to say, comments, all points tonight have been very well taken, and to applaud this council for putting a lot of thought, a lot of personal thought into this particular motion as well. Before we vote on the motion, but I believe the motion on the table right now would be to vote on whether this money comes from our ARPA funding or not. So let's take that to a vote first. Anybody all in favor of, if we do pass motion AB 22-161 to approve grant money of $5,000 to the Community Big Give, that come from ARPA funding? Say aye.
Aye.
How many ayes did we have? We have 2 ayes. Any opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
Okay, I believe we have 4 nays on that matter, 2 ayes. So that motion has been denied. So let's take AB 22-161, the motion of the City Council of the City of Bonnie Lake, Pierce County, Washington, approving a grant agreement to contribute $5,000 to the Community Big Give for 2022. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Again, that's a vote of 2. All opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
Okay, and that would be a vote of 4. So this motion has been denied as well. Okay, moving forward, we don't have an executive or closed session tonight, and I believe that is all the business before this council for this evening. So therefore, we are adjourned.